think this is recording now. So let me back up. Obviously, the 3 minute I played the orb or the OPR play. The indicators I have on my chart. This is the Hall or the not the Hall, the SSL hybrid, which I have the line is set to Hall line HMA, and it just shows the trend. It helps show the trend. I got the RVSI indicator here that Terrible, I believe the name's Ivan the Terrible, created. And with that one, you can adjust the time frame. So I could be on the 3 minute, and if I wanted to adjust it to the 5 minute time frame, I could do that. And then this bottom indicator is actually a volume indicator called, what's it called again? Starts with a W. WADA, whatever that is, WADA Atar Explosion. Sounds kind of neat, but it's basically a volume indicator, and how it's set up is this blue line. If the volume is above that blue line, which is some kind of MA, it shows that there's pretty good strength for a move to go up, and vice versa. If it's red candles and it pushes above it, there's a good move for it to go down. Um, so that being said, on this first candle, as it was pushing up, the RVSI was green, the SSL was green and it was above it, and the volume was green and pushed above the MA there. So I jumped in, like I said, right about here, and my target was the POC level. So which it did, it pushed up really good and got that. And I put 388 puts since that was roughly what the POC was of yesterday. Then after it printed, I decided to hold on and not get out like I normally do. Normally, I would have got out on this once it hit the POC. But since this was the very first candle and I'm playing Orb 2 possibly, I'm like, all right, I want to see if this is going to be an Orb play. If it is, I'll just add to the position. Because on this one here, I put 50% of my count on this first candle. So I drew the fibs and it pulled back. Initially, it was pulling back and it didn't hit that 382 level. And then when it started pushing back up, I made my entry. I dumped the rest of my account in on it for the orb play before it even broke this the high here, because it didn't push down. It did the opposite of yesterday. So if we go back to yesterday's candle um, and see what it did here, what it did, it pushed up on that just like that first candle did today without the huge wick. It pushed up, and then if you draw the fibs on this one, it retraced back, but instead of bouncing or not hitting that 382, it pushed down, past the 382. So that made me go to the low side on here. And then today, it did just the opposite. It started to pull back, didn't even come close to the 382 level, and started pushing back up. So that's when I made my entry. I dumped more in once it pushed back up. And then I rode this thing up. It hit the 618 level. It hit the first profit target area for me. And then it hit this 618, and as it started pulling back, I was just like, look, I'm just going to get out. I already was in pretty decent profit from the OPR play, and then just that was just an added fluff on it. And it was actually still a good play as it pulled up. So I got out whenever it pulled back here, and I'm glad I did, because it did, push back down and eventually did push back up, and then became kind of like a choppy day. But I was done for the day after that. I wasn't holding and seeing, okay, is it gonna, push back up or push back down? I made my money, and I got out, and that's just how I play the orb and the OPR play. It's not a 200% play, 10% play. It's usually a quick get in, get your profit, and get out. Um, and that's basically what I did today for for the OPR and the orb play. It was a really good play today. But anybody got any questions or anything on it? Or you want to share one of your trades? You can either share your screen, or I can use my screen. Comments or anything? Crick.
Hello?
Hey, I can hear you.
Hey, you said you drew the fibs
Yeah.
while you were doing the while you were in the trade.
Yes.
Can you go into that in
Sh-
more detail and
Sure.
explain how to draw through it?
Sure. So on a 3 minute candle, it takes it a while to print that candle. Um, and I waited for the first candle to actually, it printed that first candle. And then how I have it set up on my favorites bar over here. But on the left side of trading view, it's the hamburger or squiggly line. It's in that area. It might not be the top one, it might be something else, but that's where your fib retracement tool is. So you just click on that fib retracement tool, and then how I use it is if I'm going to be looking for an entry to the top side, I'll use the bottom wick and I'll go to the body. I don't use the wick on the top because that body part is normally where I'll make my entry is when it breaks the body. And then I have these targets set up that when it pushes up, these are the fib extensions that if it hits those target areas, that's my okay, I'm happy I could get out. If it would have pulled back, it hit this 382 level and started pulling back, I would have just exited my trade because it would hit my first target area. This and it pulled
So
up.
you got in on the top of that first big green candle.
No, initially, what I was playing is the OPR play, which is stands for the opening point of control retracement. And how you play that is once it breaks this purple line, this is a low value area of yesterday. There's a Since it started outside and broke into it, there's probably an 85 to 93% chance it's going to retrace back to this yellow line, which was the point of control yesterday. And I actually jumped in early. Normally, I'll wait for it to actually hit that purple line, but today it already started above the Hall MA here, and the Hall's green. The volume was green and it was above the MA, and plus the RVSI was all green. So that was telling me this is going to be a push up. So I jumped in probably right about this area here is where I jumped in, playing that it was going to go to that POC. And then once it hit it, normally I just take my profit. But since it was the first candle, I figured, okay, I'm going to see if the orb's going to play out. And then the way I normally play the orb would be once it breaks this top candle, I'll jump in and make my entry there. But this candle here, initially, it pulled back. And when it pulled back, I was hoping it would either pull back to this 382 and bounce or do what it did. It didn't pull back that far and it pushed up. So that tells me, okay, this is probably going to continue up. So I jumped in, as it wicked down and started its trip back up, probably right around the POC, that yellow line, maybe a little bit before it. I jumped in. I put 50% of my account. I only got a small account. I only got about 400 bucks in there right now. Well, now there's more. I'm up to almost, I think it's 570 something now. But so I was in this OPR play with 50% of my account, and then on this play here, I added the other 50% because I don't have a problem with dumping my whole account on these two plays because I'm that confident in them. Um, and that's the fib lines. I use them as my price targets. Like I said, the first one's 382. Then the second one's 786. For some reason, I added the 618 in here. Somebody was talking to me, and I think I added it, and I may have forgotten to delete it, but it actually played out for me today because it wicked almost right perfectly on that 618 line. And even if that 618 line wasn't there, it already hit the 382 line. So when this wick started sucking back down is whenever I got out. I know you should sell into strength, but I always like to hold off and I usually wait to see if it's going to pull back, how far is it going to pull back, and then I'll get out. And then when it pulled back, I was like, screw it, I'm going to get out because it closed right around that 382 level, which was my main first profit target. So I ended up getting out and not waiting for this next candle to see what it was going to do. But you could play it either way. You could wait for the next candle and say, okay, so if it's green, I'll just stay in, and then if it's red, I'll get out right away. Either way, you can play it however you choose to play. But for me, it just my trading plan is once it hits that first profit target, I can get out at any time, just if I feel like it or whatever it is. If it say it didn't even hit that 382 line, it was just pushing up and then started wicking back, I would have got out before it would have made me red, which in this case I probably would have let it come back to break this point because I actually got in right below the POC, so I would have been comfortable letting this come back to until it hit the top there before I would have got out if it didn't keep pushing up. But since it hit my profit target, I was like, okay, that's my new line of don't let it go below that line. Make sure you take your profit before it, goes below that line. At least that's how I play it. That help you out with your question on the fibs?
Yes, thank you.
Now, there is an indicator there. If you don't want to actually draw the fibs like I do, you can go and let me get rid of this one. And it's called first candle opening range breakout. And what this will do is it plots those lines for you more or less automatically. So it waits for that first candle to print. And then after that first candle prints, the second candle, if it breaks to the upside, it'll automatically plot these fib lines. And if it breaks to the lower side, it automatically plots these fib lines here. And you could go in and change these fib lines. Like I colored them green for my profit target, the 382 area and the 786. Uh,
What's it called?
it is called, here, I'll make a screenshot and put it in the chat. It's this first opening range breakout by VHawk. And let me put it in here.
I ain't got access to that anyway. All right, thank you.
Okay, I was gonna say it's on TradingView.
Oh, I have trading view, but I don't see that.
Oh, you don't? Huh.
Uh-uh.
All right, here's what I'll do. I'm just gonna link it. How's that? I got it. Toolbox, custom codes. I think it's still in here. Uh, Here it is. Yeah.
On my phone, and I'm kind of new to trading view, so it might
Okay.
be here somewhere.
Nah, it may not because it is a custom link. So let me. So if you click on that, it should allow you to add it to your favorites then. And the great thing about this, it actually works perfect. It is literally just like plotting the fib points. Um, it'll come up. Uh, yeah, it should be. If you click it, it'll add it to the mobile version. Okay, so I was looking. Somebody was asking a question, but they're asking it, or Jimmy. But yeah, it's in the custom code section too of Discord. But like I said, it plots the fib points for you, so you don't have to sit here and draw it. I'm very comfortable drawing my fibs. At hell, even if it's a 1 minute candle, I'll draw it real quick. But if you're not, that code's pretty good. It'll like I said, it's perfect. It does the same thing as the other fib that I actually draw. Um, so it helps for people who don't want to draw it. But yeah, it's a pretty good indicator. Plus, I only got access to five. I only pay for the five indicator one, so that's why it's like that. I can't remember which. I think it's this one here. Yeah. But that's how I played like I said, the OPR and the ORB play combined. It's great whenever you can play them both at the same time. It it actually you make more money that way because normally the ORB would play and then the OPR kind of finishes it up. But this was kind of opposite for me. It was the OPR played first and then the ORB took off right after it, and it was pretty good. Cammy, I traded the OPR first because on this first candle it was showing strength on the push up, especially with the RVSI and this WADA. I think it's called the WADA indicator. It's a volume indicator that I've added, and it was showing strength, and plus it was above the Hall SMA here. So that's why I jumped in on it. And like I said, I normally I'll wait for it to break into the value area, but since everything was saying to me it was gonna, this was pushing up and showing strength, I jumped in, I don't want to say maybe halfway between, here and the indicate or the low value area, probably somewhere right about that area, and wrote it up. And like I said, normally I take my profits, but I figured why, might as well wait and see what the orb's going to do. And since I entered down here, this thing here could have pulled back, but like I said, with the fib points, if it would have pulled back to that 382 level, I still would have been in profit. So I was comfortable letting it come here and at least bounce. I was hoping it would bounce off at 382 because I would have entered down here then. But I mean, it pulled down and I entered and still made more money than I normally would make on the orb play. But good questions. Anybody else got anything, or you want to share your trades, or if you don't know how I get the value area lines, I could go over that too if you want me to. I think the majority of the people may know how I get them, but I can always go over how I get those lines. All right. So what I'll do is I'll plot the lines for tomorrow. The first thing I usually, since I played a 3 minute chart, I'll keep it on a 3 minute. I'll shut the after hours off just because it's easier. I don't have to keep scrolling way back. And let me get my OPR. I got the pivot points. I don't even know why I got them on there. They never line up with Jimmy's. But the indicator that you would want would be, where's it at? Session volume profile. And with this indicator, I think you have to have at least the pro version of TradingView. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think the free version, people have access to that specific indicator. Yeah, the regular one. It should say, because there's another one that'll say HD on it. And I mean, I guess I, I never really used the HD, but I imagine it should be the same. But maybe it's just high def. The lines are sharper or something. Honestly, I don't know. And then when you get that, let me go into the adjustments I made for the indicator. Because normally on this indicator, what you will see is all this volume. So the indicator will show you all the volume of the day. And then this purple area is basically where the majority of the volume took place. And then the POC is where the highest volume of the day takes place. The only thing I'm concerned about when I'm playing it is the value area. So I just turn all these other opacities down. That way it just gets it out of the way. I don't have to worry about it. And then the colors, you can set it up whatever you want. I just got purple, pink, whatever, and yellow. It just makes it easy for me. The inputs, the session is market because a lot of people when they do this, their POC and their lines are different than mine, and it's kind of like Jimmy's pivot points for some reason. Even though you have the same exact settings, it's kind of different, and I have no idea why. Me and OT tried to figure it out the one day. We were really, we spent almost all night trying to figure out different settings, and he can never line his up exactly with what I got. But those lines are plotted because of that indicator. And then what I do is I'll come in here and I'll look, it's 389.91. So that'll be my high value area. And then I'll go down to the low, 387.80. And then I'll get the POC 389.59. Change it to yellow. And then once I got those coordinates plot, I just switch back to my normal, um, whichever I have set up for my trading. Uh, wow, I got to, oops, that's my normal trading one, but since I'm talking OPR, I'll switch over to this one since it's easier to see for everybody. And then I'll go back here and I'll switch this to extended hours. So then that's my lines that'll stay on the chart for, and that's all I use for tomorrow, because literally that is all I play is those lines. If for some reason, it's not a play. I just won't trade that day. It just, like I said, I don't have no problem not trading for a day because it is what it is. It's just, it's either going to hit or not. And like I've been telling people since July of last year, the end of July, I haven't missed the orb play or been negative on the orb play. And it's because I'm picky and choosy with it. And like I said, as soon as if I'm green, I stay green. If it's green up here and it doesn't hit my profit target and it starts pulling back against me, I'll just get out. Um, yeah, Joel, it's the indicator, Joel, is actually called SSL hybrid, and I have it set for the HMA is the baseline. I think it's at 60. I was watching a YouTube video and it kind of helps with the trend, show if it's an uptrending day or, if it's kind of like in here, there's really no movement. It's just not really pushing up. So that's sideways chop. It kind of helps. But then once you add, looking at the RVSI and this volume, it pushing them all together, it kind of helps with, trying to figure out what the trend is on the day. And it, it really doesn't matter. Like for me, the orb play, it doesn't matter what the RVSI and all that's saying. Maybe after I get in it, I'll be watching it and be like, okay, is it gonna, does it look like it's still gonna push up? Does it look like it's gonna be a pullback or something? But for the OPR play, I like to look at these indicators because that'll tell me, okay, is it going to be a strong push to the upside or downside? But for the orb specifically, I mean, there really can be no indicators. You're just playing the momentum of that candle when it comes off. I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, they help, but you know, everything here is saying it's pushing up. And yesterday, I can't remember if it was, this second candle. Actually, that first candle, even, it's saying it should have, the RVSI is kind of pushing down. But the volume, the first candle, yeah, it was a good push up, and then right away that second candle turned red and it was above, so that says it was pushing down. Plus I guess the Hall did turn red on that candle, so I guess, yeah, I guess they help a little bit. Oh yeah, super trend. I used to use that. The only bad thing about the super trend, I hate seeing the buy sell things on there. I know you could take them off because even though you don't really use the buy sell stuff, when you see it, you're like, "Ooh, that could be a put," or "Ooh, that should be a good call," and it might kind of influence you to do it. High low optimized trend tractor. Is that the name of the actual? Uh, yeah, I'm all about trying to figure out high and low optimized high and low. There you go. Yeah, I think I've used that before because I have it on here. Um, I was eyeballing it. Did you change the settings in there, Cajun? Or do you leave the settings the same? I think this is the one when it breaks above that, calls are in play, and if it breaks below the bottom, um, whatchamacallit, puts are in play. Change the period or change the chart to 1 minute. All right, so yeah, there's the 1 minute chart. I mean, because here, if you were actually playing, if it, I can't remember how it was. I thought it was if it's in between here, you don't make a play, right? But then you'd miss out on that big run here to the downside. Yeah, if you break, yeah, that's what I thought it was. If you break above calls, and then like, vice versa, if it breaks below puts. Yeah, yeah, I remember adding this, and because I watched that on the YouTube video too, but I saw a lot of areas where I'm like, man, you could jump in, here, this play here. I guarantee if I draw the fibs, this is bouncing off the. I'd say that might because the fib will draw from up here to down here. Yeah, I guarantee you That'd be a play. Yeah, wrong one. Yep, right at the 16 level. So it bounces off at 16, so that's a good reversal play off the fibs. It comes down, bounces right off of that. Once the RFESI turns green, the Hall's green, this volume's green, that would have been a good run the whole way up. But I really haven't played the fibs for a long time because, like I said, I'll dump my whole account in the ORB or OPR, and so I really don't have to worry about playing the rest of the chart. I'm literally I'm done first thing in the morning normally. Oh, I was gonna say, why does this chart look different? Because it's the 1 minute chart. I played a 3 minute, and I'm like, damn, that is a total different chart. Yeah, usually how I determine chop now is if this volume, if it's basically hovering right around the the blue line, and it's not a big break like here, that's telling me it's probably going to chop um, with that. And then the Hall, if it's not moving in an upward or actually downward direction too, it's like kind of flatlined. Will be kind of a, at least that's how I determine it. But it's cool hearing how everybody else uses different things to. But yeah, has anybody got what is the for me the 3 minute chart? It just cuts out a lot of the noise. Like for the 1 minute chart, there's just, I mean, there's definitely you could tell a lot of choppiness in it. Um, and the indicators for the 1 minute chart to really get a good read on these indicators, because you figure every 1 minute, they're going back however many time frame, and that's what they're going by. It for me, it's just been easier to do the 3 minute. It's kind of like the 5 minute too that Golden plays, the 5 and 15. The higher the time frame gives you more of a better feel for the move, I guess. Because the 1 minute obviously could turn on a dime, and it could still turn on a dime on a 3 minute and the 5 minute also. But for me, the sweet spot has been the 3 minute. I mean, I tried playing the 2 minute orb before, and sometimes it plays out, and sometimes it doesn't. So here, even the 2 minute would have been the same, almost identical play as a 3 minute, except I would have just held till this candle, and I would have still got out on that pullback. So, that's the 3 minute candle. When you switch to the 3 minute chart, it's the same, exact thing, I guess. Cajun, he wouldn't mind if I got in there and trade the orb play in the chat room. I just don't like doing it because, when Jimmy's in there, he's on a roll. He'll be talking, and at one, I don't want to interrupt him because he'll start talking like right off the bat of the opening stuff. And sometimes he might be talking, hey, this, like yesterday probably would have been, I wasn't in there yesterday, but yesterday he may have been talking because this was a bullish candle about, hey, this, he may have been talking about calls off his first candle. Where for me, I wait on this one. I was like, oh, I'm going to wait and see if it's going to, and it didn't break. So I'd be calling puts, and it'd be like, oh shit, I'm going against Jimmy. And it's not that, it's just the strategy itself is what I play. Um, This shows on the chart after the fact, though. What do you mean by that? Can you rephrase your question? Taking a thing from Golden. Can you rephrase that question, Dom? Or talk me through what you mean? It doesn't repaint, if that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about that when you that indicator you just shared with me to add to my favorites that has these levels on it.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's the opening range
Yeah, that first candle opening there.
indicator.
Mm-hmm.
Like you didn't know that that yellow line is not going to be there as support until after the opening candle is already printed, right?
Yeah,
I've never seen this thing before. I'm just trying to understand how it will look on the live chart. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Here.
If I want to use it for the opening channel.
I'll
I mean,
pl-
if I want to use it to play the opening candle.
I'll play it. I'll do it here. I'll play it live for you. So,
Thank you.
it.
And thanks for the link too. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. So this will be the day. It's a 3 minute day. So this is the start of the day. I'll go to. The bad thing about the replay, it doesn't specifically show exactly. I think it usually goes in two steps when you play it. So that was the first candle. It actually, pushed up and then pushed back down and then it sucked back up. And then that indicator right now, it's not going to go until this next candle. If it breaks the low, it'll plot it to the low side. And if it breaks to the high side, that indicator will automatically start plotting. So, and that's how it'll look. It'll come on because it broke, and that indicator comes on, and then I think you can keep it on there. There's a way to for however long, whether it's till 9:45, 10 o'clock, you can actually set the time frame for how long that indicator will plot out till, and then the next candle will come. I can't remember I think I thought I had mine set up for 15 minutes or something. So one, two, three, four. The first 12 minutes I think is what my candle is set for. Cause yeah.
Okay, since I started using TradingView, I quit using all the indicators. You know what I'm saying? And I've kind of become more comfortable
hmm
like that. But I am curious what that volume indicator you're using and that moving average that you're using. What is that?
All right. So the moving average is called
That green line there.
yeah,
It's bright green up under the yeah right there.
it's called SSL hybrid. Let's see. I think I can take a picture of it. Yeah, it's just called SSL hybrid by Michaela. I'll put that in here too. I don't have an actual link to this thing, but I can. You should be able to search it either on your phone, or whatever. And then the volume indicator I use is this WADA Atar explosion. And I was just looking. I'm like an indicator crazed guy sometimes, even though the indicators really don't use with the orb. But I was wanting to find a really good volume indicator. The RVSI for me I really like the RVSI. It's one of the better um, volume indicators because it's like the RSI, but it's plotted off. It's using volume instead of the price action. Um, so I like it, and I wanted something to go with it too. And this explosion indicator seems to work. Today was the first day I had it on and was testing it out, and it seems to actually work pretty decently. Um, but like I said, normally oh, no problem, Cammy. I just play the orb and OPR, and if it doesn't pan out, I'm usually done for the day. Like yesterday's a good example. Let me switch over to the. Of course, I did play it yesterday, but we'll say the orb wouldn't have played out yesterday. Say this 3 minute orb play up here didn't play out to the downside, I wouldn't have played anything. And then, like I said, when I looked at the chart later on, when it broke down here through the value area, that's when I would have got in that late, and I did. Late in the day and play it down to the POC, which it did hit. It broke it, and then as you can see, it found its way down to that POC. Again, it doesn't happen all the time, especially. I mean, this was pretty far out of that value area. I mean, it was way up here in the value areas. I was like, oh hell, it's never going to come down here. And then once it broke, I'm like, man, there's a chance. Do I have a chance? So I figure out, I'm going to try it because it's a pretty decent percentage. And I did, and it ended up hitting it. And I was like, damn, it worked. And like I said, sometimes it it's not 100%, so it may not work all the time, but it's worth the opportunity. The percentages are there that it's good enough for me to definitely attempt it because it's a pretty high percentage play. I know G Daddy, changed his name to the G Daddy, but he always talks about, high percentage plays and make sure that, your trading plan, whatever it is, and for me, that's the ORB and OPR. That's my 920, where his is the 920, and he's very confident. That I'm really, I mean, I'm 100% confident in this OPR and the ORB play. And if you try to look OPR up online, you probably never find it because it's not. I don't think it's really an official um, term for trading. It's just something I kind of made up. I was watching videos on the volume. I think that's what this session volume profile indicator is. And I was just watching videos on it, and I kept noticing every time it broke in there, I was like, man, it keeps retracing back to the POC. I said, hell, I'm gonna use this, but take off all the other volume and just see how it plays off. And I did just like I did with the orb play. I waited, tried it out for a month, just on paper, just writing it down, and then I actually played one contract and worked my way up, to 5 to 10 contracts. And I'm like, hell, it actually works. So it made me really confident. The OPR stands for opening. I don't even know why I have this in there, but opening range, point of control, retracement. And that's just, I guess, because the way you should play it is you want it to open up within that value area range because it should retrace to that POC if it does open up within that range. Again, not all the time. I'd say about there's a good, I don't know, 95% chance, 90 to 95%, 97% chance it will. Um, but it doesn't do it all the time. But it's a high probability play that if it opens up in between these purple lines, it's going to hit that the POC. Of course, yesterday it hit it not in the opening range because here you could see how close it come. It started playing, pushing down, um, which again normally it would be something for me to okay, yeah, that's close enough. I might jump in, but it's it's kind of like Jimmy says too. You just have a feeling, it's your strategy or whatever. You just know, and I didn't. To me, I just didn't. It didn't feel like this was going to keep pushing downward at that point. Um, so I played the orb play and got out, and then it luckily I did because it shot back up, and I'm glad I didn't jump into OPR play because I would have got out on this green candle here. So if I would have got in on this red candle for the OPR, I would have been red on that OPR play because I would have waited to see if it's going to bounce off of that line and come back down, which on this candle it kind of did, but then once it broke that line, I would have been like, okay, I'm getting out. Is how I would have played it if I was going to play it. But it just, for me, I don't know why I didn't play it. It just, I didn't feel it yesterday, so I didn't play it. And I mean, I hate to say you can't play the stocks on feelings, but it, when you play your strategy so much and so often, you just, I guess you just know. I don't know how else to put it. Matt, if you don't understand anything, that's why I'm doing this here. By all means, ask questions, and then I can go through it. And if you don't understand it, I can keep going through it until you understand it, or try to switch it around. And I make the videos so people could go back and look at them and kind of get the gist of it. Because what will happen is they'll see in the spy pit, I post, hey, the OPR play or the orb play, and hey, what's that? What's that? So people would link just the video and say, hey, check this out, because there's too much to explain right before market opens. So it's like, hey, you can check this video out. But by doing it now's the time to actually ask questions if you don't understand, because now I can actually explain it to you and everything else, and then you can you know get feedback right away on it. Yeah, I guess dumb money trader. I'm in the zone. I am, dude. I hate to say it's because I'm focused. Uh, Whenever you get to the point, and like guys, I'm not a great trader. I'm not even a good trader. It's just I got a strategy that really works for me, and it took forever. I mean, I was a failure at trading for 3 years. Well, this I guess this is the fourth year. I'm not. I'm better this year, and that's because of this Discord. I was literally ready to give up trading on February, I believe it was February 27th. I lost huge. Um, I never had a plan. I just like, hey, it looks like it's going up, I FOMO in. It looks like it's going down, I FOMO in. But when I did it, it was always seems to be right at the end. And I had no trading plan for 3 years. I joined this Discord, and on February, I believe it was 27th, the Russian war thing, I was playing puts because the market dropped. It was huge in pre-market, and I'm like, oh, it's going to keep going down. Right at open, I bought puts, and I was up like 120 bucks, and I never got out. Yeah, February 24th. I never got out, and then it just kept going up, and I was holding and hoping. Oh, it's got to come back down. This is a war. The stocks are gonna drop, and I think it ran like $18 or almost $20 that day, and I lost like I think it was 15 or 1800 bucks, and almost wiped my account completely out. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I was like, screw this, I'm done. I don't, 3 years I've tried and I haven't made any money. The hell with this stock market. This is bullshit. People play this are insane. Well, then that night, Jimmy had a talk, and he seemed like he was literally talking to me because everything he was explaining, like he does with everybody, you think he's talking right at you. Um, and he made the comment that if you're green and you let it turn red, you are a fucking idiot. I mean, that quote, that was his words. If you're green and you let a green trade turn to red, you're a fucking idiot. And it just sunk in with me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm no fucking idiot. I'm not an idiot. And if that's all it is if you're green, you take profit and screw it. Because I was up, I was like $120, like I said, and then I let it go to minus 1500, 1800. So from that point on, I was searching for something that works for me, and I come across the fibs first, and then I learned the fibs from Trading Wars guy. I joined his Discord, and he's awesome at the fibs. I learned a lot about the fibs from him, and then I kind of tweak them a little bit to make them fit my type of trading. And then the orb, the Trading Wars guy, he actually trades this orb strategy, but he does it a little bit different. And I'm like, man, this thing works for how I trade. I'm going to use it and manipulate it and make it my own. And then that OPR, I noticed it too. And then come June of last year, May, June last year is when I started becoming a profitable trader. And ever since then, I never looked back. And it's been great. There I go rambling off. I always get on Golden about, hey, there's a time limit. And here I am rambling off. Let me read some questions here. I just don't get, okay, Matt Brooks, I just don't get how you get in so quick. I thought the orb was the high and low of a 15-minute. Okay, normally the orb, the way you would play the orb traditionally is you can do I'd say 50, it's either 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So this is a 3-minute chart. So the first five candles, one, two, three, four, five, you would plot the high of the first five and then the low of those first five candles. And then once it breaks out and retests that line, it's kind of like the support resistant lines. And if it breaks and retests, you jump in, for that direction. That's traditionally how the orb play would be is okay, it breaks it, you wait for it to retest, and then you'll jump in just like a normal support resistance like Jimmy plays it. Well, I don't do it that way, and the Trading Wars guy, like I said, where I learned it, he usually does a 3 or 5 minute orb, which I do the same thing. But how he plays it is he'll plot the previous day's high and low. So this is how I was initially shown how to do the orb would be if this candle opens up outside that high and low area, there's probably going to be a big move. Um, Within those first couple minutes, and that's where the whole orb comes in the opening range because you'll play that 3 minute candle, and you're basically playing that, you know, people bought in, down here, and if it breaks, you know, throughout the day, here it actually ended up close to the actual range, but if it opens up further away, people are going to either take profits or sell because their stop loss will hit, or they're, hey, I'm going to take profits because I'm in the profit, and that's what causes these big moves. So that's how he plays it, is if it outside that area. I don't there to me there is no area. I It's either the orb play is going to play off or not. It's just a momentum play. I don't care where this first candle is compared to the previous day. It's if it's breaking up in the next line candle, if it breaks above it, I'm either going to jump in for a bigger profit or smaller profit is how I play it for the orb play. So hopefully that answers your question, Matt, about the 15 minute. Yeah, traditionally 15 minute or 30 minute that's how you play it. I just modified, to where I use a 3 minute orb. Some people on here was playing the 2 minute orb, and by all means they can do it. I mean, it worked today. It would have worked. Really don't recommend the 1 minute orb because price can fluctuate both ways. But with a 1 minute, you can get in and make decent money because if it is this uptrend here on the 1 minute candle, you're getting in, you're going to ride, you're getting in way down here and riding it up, so it helps too. um, but yeah, I'm waiting for the first minute candle because the first minute candle kind of it lets the market play out a little bit to see, okay, what direction is this market thinking of going right now. With the 1 minute, it's still a toss up. Hey, is it going to go up, is it going to go down? Even with the 3 minute, it's kind of fast. I mean, like I said, there's times where I'll switch over to the 5 minute and I'll play it too. But normally I just play that 3 minute candle. Doing an orb, can you enter at the bottom if going long so you aren't losing all that movement, or at the top if you're going short? All right, so Dolly, that's up to you. The problem with that is, so for example, you're saying on this first candle, enter in down here as it's pushing up because then you'll get that all that momentum. But the whole idea of it is by letting it play out is you don't know if it's going to push up here or push down. So that's why I let that first candle play out. And then the second candle, I'll play normally I'll play the break of this first candle. But today what I did was when I drew my fibs, let me go to the price targets. So when I drew the fibs today, this candle here, it pulled back, and this 382 line to me, it's a really good support slash resistance line. So if it would have pulled back and pushed through this 382 like it did yesterday, then I would have took calls off the table. Where it pulled back, didn't even come close to that 382, and then started pushing back up. So I actually didn't wait for the break of this candle. I made my entry, as it was pushing back up. So I kind of did that, what you're talking about. I made my entry down here, and I got all this run the whole way up. But normally, I'll just play this break here. If it breaks right away to the upside, I'll jump in. And then normally, what happens when I do that, it'll be boom, and then it starts pulling back on me. I'll get out because I'm green and I'm staying green. It'll pull back and do just what this candle did. It'll pull back and then push right back up, and I missed the run. And I mean, there's times where I get back in again, but normally I don't. I'm like, okay, I'm already green. I made, $5, $10, or whatever it was, but I'm happy with it on that. But yeah, Dolly, it's up to you. I don't really recommend on the very first candle jumping in right away because you don't know what direction the market's going. So the 3 minute kind of lets it play out, so you don't get faked out as much, I guess, for that. Okay, hopefully that answered your question, Dolly. I watched Orb with different ways. Yeah, there's so many different ways to play the Orb. This is just how I play it. It's not, dead set. Hey, this is the only way to play the Orb. It's just something that really works for me. Yeah, Matt, I think I mean, hopefully I answered already. The way I learned a 3 minute was off of if you go to Trading Wars. I don't want to promote somebody else, but he has a YouTube channel too. I think it is Trading Wars. TR Trading, common spelling, but War is spelled WARZ. And watch some of his videos. He's great at the fibs. I've learned a lot with his fib techniques. And then he um, he talks about the orb play in there, and it's I play it like I said almost identical as he plays it, but he'll draw the previous day's high and low, and that's what he goes by. Um, he'll go by, hey, if it's outside that previous day high and low, hey, this is going to be a big move probably. So that's how he'll do that on there. Uh, I'm still reading down. I'll get to. I like playing OPR. Okay, yeah, Joel. I know, man. You've been if you were playing it, you've been making some money on the OPR too, there, Joel. I seen it. I seen it a couple times where you talk about it. So you wait for 3 minute to break. So the higher you buy calls and if it break. Yeah, exactly. If it breaks. Yeah, the second candle, Matt. So today, like I explained, it pulled back, and I'll answer Kingis's about the fibs again because it'll go into play here. Normally, what I'll do is it'll break this to the upside. I'll get in right away. I can't say right away. I'm trying to think how to explain it. Let me draw the fibs. So after this first candle prints, I draw my fibs. I'll draw, okay. I'm thinking it's going to break to the high side because this was a strong push up. So if it breaks up, I'm getting in. I'm going to say, okay, it's breaking up. I'm going to get in. And then hopefully it keeps going. If not, I'll get out. This one here, it actually, before it broke completely to the upside, it was, it pushed down. And this 382 level, to answer the dumb money trader, it's a fib point. And for some reason, I don't know why, SPY likes the 382 level. Um, Normally on Fibonacci retracement stuff, the 50%, the 618, and the 786 level is like your golden area where it's going to bounce to. Um, it'll hit that and bounce back up or down. But for some reason, whenever I've been doing SPY and trading fibs on SPY, that 382 level is a traction level for SPY. For some reason, it likes to come to that 382 level. And I could go into the fibs too here, not to combine them, but I don't play them anymore. But I don't have a problem playing them if I get the nerve, get that nerve to play them. But yeah, the 382, that's why it's on here. It's a good retracement level because if it breaks below that, there's a good chance that hey, it's going to keep going. But if it bounces, it's a good chance again that hey, it's going to bounce to the upside. So that's why that's on there, the 382 level. Um, I don't do wick to wick when I draw my targets for fibs because no, I don't mean $382, the 382 fib line. Let me switch my fibs so you might be able to see them easier if I get the numbers to the other side. To the left. So these 382 like this red line 382 level. Um, the reason why I don't traditionally when you do the fibs, yeah, it's wick to wick, but I'm not looking at the wick on this first candle. I'm looking at the body. So when it breaks the body, not the wick, that's kind of my entrance point. So that's why when I draw the fibs, when I do the orb play, I only draw it to the body. I'll use the wick of the opposite side, but I'll draw it to the body because that's my entrance point. And then, because if I get in here, that's all profit. But if I draw this up here, but I'm getting in down here, you know, it's not really showing me true profit targets. So I draw it to where normally, hey, possibly I'm going to get in at. Like I said, I'd love when it comes down to this 382 level and starts bouncing because I'll get in and that's where you make the best money because man, that's a good run if it runs the whole way back up to that 786 level. You make really good money from on that run there. But Kingus, does that help with drawing the fibs? And why I don't draw. And like I said, traditionally, yeah, I do draw. For example, um, whenever I was saying about this run up here, drawing the fib points, I would draw, this will be the high point, and this is the low point of that. We'll say this hasn't printed off yet over here. And let me switch my fibs back to my traditional. fibs that I use. So going into fibs now, how I like to play the fibs is I use the fibs as a. It's hard to tell when there's going to be a reversal or a pullback. So for me, when I was playing the fibs, I would use them as a pullback or, so this is a run. Okay, this is starting to trend down. What I've noticed when I did the fibs is the 16, let me switch these over so we can see the um, numbers better too. So this 10, 16, and 272 areas, these are bounce points. What'll happen is SPY will come down, and these are support resistant levels, and it'll bounce off of them. And when it does bounce off of them, usually it'll bounce back to this 382 level. And I like to see it bounce, to that 618 because then it'll be a play back to the downside. But so if here, for example, if I was playing the fibs, what I would do is I'd draw my line. Okay, normally it'd be okay, this is the high day below a day, and then okay, it broke the high, so I'm going to draw it up here, and then there's a new low day, so I'm drawing it down to their point. So for me, I won't redraw the fibs until it breaks this 272. So if this candle will come down here and break through that 272, then that becomes my new low point. This area here is not my new low point because this is just a bounce area. So it comes down, it bounces off it. How I would play that would be, okay, this green candle I wouldn't get in. On the second green candle, it's showing me green and the RVSI is showing me green to the upside. That's normally how I would get in, and I would play it to back to this 382 level. And as you can see, this candle here, what did it do? It wicked right on that 382 level and then pulled back. Um, so, that's how I used to play the fibs. And I'd also play them, okay, it hit the 618 level. Now I'm looking for a bounce back to the downside. So I'd be looking for, two red candles off of this plus the RVSI red. So for me, if I was playing the fibs, all this chop in here, I wouldn't play. This bounce here, it hit the 618. This next red candle, I would have got in on the second red because the RVSI is red and that's red. And I would look for a push back down to at least the zero level. Um, it didn't. It come back up, and it pushed here to this 10% level and couldn't push back down through it. So, for me, I would have got out after this red candle. It hit the 236, and then these green candles would have been forming. I would have got out on one of these green candles because I wouldn't let it pull back up, against me. So that would have been a quick scalp for me on that. Um, but yeah, I don't play fibs the traditional way that people play it. I play them a little different. But again, my main play is the OPR and the ORB play is the my main plays that I've been playing. But I go off on tangent. As you can tell, I'm kind of passionate about things when I get to talking. I'll start running off on a tangent and stuff. And normally when I start talking fibs, people do start leaving. Tech Trader, I'm not sure if he's in here. He was one that when I first started talking fibs, man, he would bow out. He's like, "Oh man, this shit's too crazy," and then he'd bow out. But now he actually trades the fibs. He learned them and he likes them and he starts trading them. So it's kind of cool. All right, so see, can you show I did the fibs, wick to wick, covered that. How often do you do this? Dolly, you still in here? Yeah. What do you mean by how often? How often do I do the fibs, or how often do I do the orb play, or come on here and talk? Um, Not really break and retest of the fib lines. So when I'm drawing the fib lines, what I'm waiting for is um, for it to test. Actually, this will be. Actually, that would have been the line there because it would have been here. That would have been the low. I would have drew it there, and it would hit the 272 line. So yeah, right there would have been my play, the 272 play. It's not a break and retest. It hits the line, and I know that any three of these lines, it's probably going to bounce off to unless this is going to be a strong push down. And I used the RVSI with the fib, so it bounced off that line. Now I'm like a two green candle. I won't go right off that first green candle because a lot of times it's false. Like here's a good example. Let me switch over to the get these lines off here.
I'm asking you that because I don't have those extra lines below.
Oh, okay. Um, so trading view, if you use trading view, I'll post my settings if you want you could go in and change them. But yeah, I again with the fibs I played them for months and found
So I appreciate it, man.
mhm. And I kind of find out what bounce like what percentage points what levels that the spy was bouncing off of, and that's where I come up with the 10%, 16, and 272 area. But the reason why I wait for two candles the opposite direction, if you look here, it bounced off at 10%, which is a bounce point. This green candle's pushing up, and if I would have been like, okay, it's going to reverse, that's a double bottom, I'm jumping in here. Well, it's a fake out. It wasn't. Plus, the RVSI is pointing down, so there's no way, no reason to get in this one. But on this candle here, again, the 272 is the definite, it's the bottom of the bounce point. It bounced. This next candle's green. The RVSI is also pushing up, so that tells me, okay, there's probably going to be a push up, maybe to this 382 level. Um, so I'm getting in. So I would get in to play it to that 382 level, is how I would play it, and then get out. Hey, it hit that 382 level and actually pushed up through it. So I would have waited since there's no wick on that candle here. I would have held through that, and then on this red candle is when I would have exited my move if I was playing that fib point there. And then traditionally, how the fibs are, you draw them, and then you'd want this 50 618 just like it's doing. Okay, is it going to bounce? Because expect it to bounce back down now because that's how fibs work. It's going to bounce off that 50 level or that 618 and then push back to the downside. Again, it did here, but it didn't do a big push down. Uh, Again, on choppy days, the fibs they're great for scalping, but they're not that's basically my whole style of trading. It's not a hold for that home run. It's scalp plays. I hold for a few minutes and then this will probably this hold right here would be a long hold for me. I probably would have been like, okay, I'm gonna get out here soon. I just wait, and it's weird because I'm different than I'm and I need to get out. I need to get out instead of saying, "Hey, just like Golden, he's relaxed." I'll be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna let this ride, and get my 200% or whatever." Where me, I'm total opposite. It's like, "Oh, I'm waiting for that. Okay, where's my exit point?" Dolly, I normally I do these videos. I try to do them daily. I know Golden when he gets on here and he'll talk. I don't come in and say, okay, I'm going to talk now after Golden. So if he's doing something, I won't jump in and talk because heck, someone's already got you in here for an hour or so, and then you're going to sit another hour or two listening to my mouth. And like I said, I'm not a great trader. Golden's awesome, especially the way he explains stuff, and that's not me. Like in the open voice chat, like Golden, he'll be talking about, okay, this looks like on the 5 minute here, it looks like a flag play. This could, possibly be a good entry. It's bouncing off the 920. See, I don't do that because that's just not how I trade. For me, if I was in the live trading, I would be talking about the fib points because that's the only thing I go by. I'd be like, all right, guys, this here, it's coming down. It's bouncing off at 10% fib. This could be an entrance point to for a call, but it doesn't look that way because the RVSI is, still pointed down. So I wouldn't expect too much of a bounce back up. I think we're going to still go down here, guys. And then, I'll be watching it and be like, okay, it's actually hitting that 272 level. Now this is my bounce point. We could bounce back to the upside. And then on this green candle, I'll be like, all right. I mean, it's looking good for a decent retracement here. The RVSI is turning. And then on that candle, I'd be like, hey, that RVSI turned. I'm getting in. And I don't expect people to follow me, but this is how I'd be saying it in the open chat if I was, filling in for Jimmy or something. Be like, hey, I'm going to get in here because this looks like it's going to retrace up. And my target would be the 388.21 level is what I'm looking for. And then, oh, it hit that target level, but, it's still green. So I'm going to hold on to this, see where it goes, guys. Oh, there's no wick on that. We might push up again. Then on this red candle, I'd be seeing it. Oh, well, it's pulling back. I'm just going to get out. I made decent profit, so I'm going to go ahead and and exit here. That's how I would do it. Um, I wouldn't talk through, every little 920 because I don't really use the 920 on my chart. Like I said, we all trade differently, and we're all pretty decent profitable traders. It's just Golden's really good at explaining the action throughout the day. I mean, he's awesome at it, and so's Jimmy. He's great, and P Daddy too. They're all good at the way they do it. It's just I'm not comfortable, in open chat talking like that, because no one else really plays the fibs but me. So I could be talking this, and people be saying 382 level. What the hell's he talking about? Because they'd be watching Jimmy's chart and there's no fib lines on it, and you'd be like, well, what do you mean 382 level? So that's why I really don't talk too much in the open chat. Um, I'll type in the spy pit, hey, the orb, might be looking good, or prior to it, but yeah, Jimmy, he'll talk, and I mean, sometimes all four of us are in there, and then, when four of us are in there, we all got our, like I said, I got a different trading style than them, and that's why I usually take the back seat because we're all here for Jimmy. He's the main guy, so I'm not going to interrupt him or anything unless I see something, be like, hey, you know, this could be an OPR play, guys. It's breaking up, and it's a possible play. But if it's going to counteract what Jimmy says, say Jimmy was thinking possible, which yeah, I guarantee he probably wasn't here thinking puts. I'm not going to jump in and be like, hey, I'm thinking calls. I'm not going to go against what he's saying. But because we're all here for Jimmy, and that's where we all learn from Jimmy too. But it's just not my trading style. Again, I tried to do the break and retest levels back in April, or February, March, April time frame, and it didn't suit me. It wasn't the way I trade. It didn't suit my personality and just my trading style, and that's when I found this type of stuff. Uh, the RVSI, I don't think what I could do is I'm not sure if he's in here or not. Actually, I no, because I'll paste. I could post his code. What'll happen is I'll post it. I'll show you guys how to do it. I'm going to post a code here, and then what do you mean there, MG? This script here, I can post it because for some reason, it's not. There's a link to it, but you can't click the link anymore, and I don't think it's because it's where the hell to go? There it is. Terrible. Oh shit. So I should be able to copy this, and I'll explain how you can paste this here. Oh, I hope this is okay. All right, so if you want this specific RVSI script on TradingView, and if you're on the desktop, I don't think you could do this on the phone. What you'll do is you'll copy that, what is it, forward slash, basically copy everything I pasted there, or yeah, pasted there. You'd want to copy all that, and then in TradingView, what you'll do is you'll come down to where it says Pine Editor down here, and then it is hit the hamburger or whatever those three lines are. You'll click on that and make a script, name it to whatever you want. You could just call it RVSI Terrible since he's the one that actually created it. And then what you'll do is down here, you're just going to paste it at the bottom where the number one is. You'll just, right click or whatever it is and paste the script and then hit save or add it to chart. And then that'll save it in your my script section. Um, it he published it, but I think there's so many RVSIs out there. The bad thing about TradingView is they think you're like copying somebody else's script. Well, what he did, he added the time frame to it, which is great. So you can actually change the time frame. So for example, I'm on the 3 minute chart. I could change this RVSI to where it's actually looking at the 5 minute chart, which is kind of good to do because what happens is if it's looking at the higher time frame, so obviously the higher time frame is better to look at, and this indicator is actually looking at that higher time frame. So the probability is, if this script here on the 5 minutes red, hey, that's probably means this is going to be a decent push down because that's a pretty strong red. There's a gap there between that and the blue line, the plot line. So that's probably a pretty good indicator. Um, but yeah, that's how you can copy the script and paste the script. The RVSI is a really good indicator to use. It's probably I've probably shouldn't say it. Some people heard it before, but I've traded naked with the RVSI, and what I mean by that is, I'll show an example of it right now. Um, so I'll go to my settings and go bam, bam, bam. So I did this on my chart. There's no indicators, there's no nothing, or I have the RVSI indicator and that is it. So what I did was I was like, okay, when this RVSI crosses, I'm getting in. So whether it's down or to the upside. So here it crossed and it was red, so I got in a put right here. So at 10:21, if someone wants to write it down or look on their chart, at 10:21 on a 3 minute candle, I got in a put. At 10:48, basically I would get out. So if we come up here and add that stuff back, so at 10:21, so on this red candle here, I got in. I'm not sure exactly where because I just saw when it crossed here, it's somewhere on this candle I get in. So worst case scenario, we'll say at the close. So at the close of that candle, so I got in and we'll say at 388.59. And when did I got out at 10:48. Worst case scenario at the top of that candle because that's where it closed, 387.34. So, by trading blind, it was almost a dollar move play. Yeah, I missed this here because I didn't see it because I didn't get out, right at the bottom. But just by using the RVSI and playing it without the candles, I actually made money. And I did this live. I did it with one contract, um, and I did it live one day, and or not live as in showing everybody live while I was doing it. I actually did it on my own. I cleared all the candles off, and I actually used real money and not paper trading. I just did one candle, and it does, man. It works. And that's why this indicator usually always stays on my charts, the RVSI, because I'm that confident with it that, after I did that, that sealed the deal for me that, hey, there's something with this indicator that actually it it helps. So it'll always be in my repertoire, so to speak. Um, yeah, so to get the script, if you copy that, if you highlight all that that I posted and copy it, you go down to this Pine editor. Let me try to get a brand new. I don't know why this is on here. Let me go to a different chart. Let me just. Crap, it still shows this. All right, I'll just post it here. So you hit that Pine editor. You go over here to the three lines and put make a script. Type whatever you want. RVSI test. I'll put RVSI. Yeah, I can't even type test. Hit save. And then down here, what I'm going to do, since there's already, this is some kind of momentum oscillator, I don't want that. So I'm going to highlight all that just to get rid of it. Wow, that's a big ass script. So that's all highlighted, and I'm just going to right click and hit paste. So now that paste, that script, and then I'm going to hit save. Um, Let me try to get rid of one of these. I'm going to get rid of this script here and then add this script to the chart, and it should add right there. It'll add that script there, and that's how you do it. With that with that script though, you still have to go in and actually, I bet you I can modify this and repost it to where you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, let me try something here. Ah, here it is. Damn it, why? There we go. Is it not going to save it? No, crap. I was going to change the color already that way. Imagine, I wonder if I just put color blue. There we go. It's probably still black. It changed it to black, didn't it? Oh, error. I ruined the script. Well, that ain't good. Oops. Now I'm all flubbed up. Yeah. But if you go in here, you should be able to, if you know what code, like this hex number, I guess, if anybody can give me a hex number of blue and you type it in here, it should change that then to whatever that hex number is. All right, whatever hex number that is. Yeah. So there, I changed the hex number. I just made up a number, and I guess it's this turquoise color. And that way you don't have to go in here and actually change it every time, this plot, because that plot will be black, and then you won't even see hey, where did it cross? So every time you do it, you'll have to come in here and change this line. So if whatever color you want, matter of fact, I'm just gonna copy this here, this script, because I think it worked, and paste it here. So this one here would actually have it to where that plot line's showing. You don't have to go in and change the color to it. It'll actually be that color. I'm sorry, where did you initially add that? Um, so Dolly, if you hit the Pine editor and then go over here where the three lines are to the right and click on it and then hit, um, you can put open Pine editor. No, is there open new script? I just put make a new script, pick a name for it, and then paste it. Highlight whatever script's in there and then paste over top of it and hit save. And then I'll have to get rid of that one and hit add to the chart, and it should have that turquoise color. Yeah, so it'll have the turquoise or whatever color you want to call it. Now this is bullcrap. Why am I getting pop-ups like this? Because I'm paying for a pro version. I shouldn't be getting a damn pop-ups. Your make script's gray. Um, that might be because whatever script you're initially on, it might it might be a either that or are you on a free version, Dolly? I'm not sure if that would. All right, here we go. We'll do it this way. Um, so if you hit the Pine editor, go to open and then put create indicator, and that'll actually should allow you to create a whole new indicator. And then you could paste it, start at the number one and just hit, paste on it. This is probably going to double paste it, I bet. Yeah, I probably got this all screwed up now. There you go, blue hex code 000. And then where it says untitled script, you can type in, click on that and type in whatever you want. RVSI, something different. I'm gonna have so many that I'm gonna have to delete now. That new color area, I'm gonna go in here and type, was it three or four, four zeros and FF. Save. And then if I cancel this one, add that to the chart, it should be blue. Yep, there we go. Thanks. Thanks, Bowen. I don't want to post it again. I could repost that script again and be like, okay, this will change the color to blue. But you guys could see where, if you want to change the color, where to do it at, where it says plot, that hex number, if you change it to whatever, and that only allows it to where, if, say you were to go onto a different chart and you want to add that indicator, you don't have to go back in and change it because it's always going to show up black. Because I think even if you hit save as defaults, it for some reason it always reverted back to that guy had the black color there, and he must not, whoever created the script must not have, and it's not terrible, it's whoever created the RVSI script in general probably didn't use the plot line for some reason. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah, I bet you that's exactly right. He probably had the, man, with that white background, it's so bright though. I mean, where it must be because I think you use it though, don't you? Don't you use the white background? Cause yeah, come look at that. I'm like, come on, that's like, whoa, wait a minute here. Uh, shoot, that's funny. Did that help, Dolly? Were you able to go to open and create a new actual um, indicator, or is that grayed out to where you can't click it too? Oh shit, I forgot. I'm recording this. I'm gonna have to stop it. It's like an hour and 22 minutes.